700 WLW podcast. Catch Scott Sloan weekdays at 9:06 on 700 WLW.
Scott Sloan here, 700 WLW. Cincinnati-based Macy's getting some criticism over the last couple of days. The Thanksgiving Day parade went off. We thought, because of the wind and stuff, the balloons wouldn't go, but it all worked out anyway. 3.5 million people viewed the parade live in New York City. 50 million worldwide watched it on NBC Thanksgiving morning. And according to 1 Million Moms, the activist group, the Macy's department store chain, had an unpleasant surprise for viewers about 30 minutes into the program. I was busy sleeping or driving, perhaps. I didn't recall seeing that. But joining me on 700 WLW to talk about why Macy's cannot be trusted, Brian Fisher with American Family Association. I guess 1 Million Moms, a subsidiary of that. And Brian, good morning. How are you?
Just fine, Scott. How are you doing?
Doing well, thank you. So what the outrage is over what?
Well, what we're dealing with here is transvestitism. You're dealing with transgenderism. You're dealing with cross-dressing that's being forced on American families by Macy's and NBC. We've heard from a lot of families that watch the Thanksgiving parade, the Macy's parade, as sort of a family tradition on Thanksgiving morning. And they were just appalled. I mean, they have their kids, their 9-year-old kids, their 6-year-old kids that are asking them very awkward questions about what they're seeing on what is supposed to be a family-friendly event. And we don't even think it's smart for Macy's to do this. The homosexual transgender population probably represents less than 4% of the American population, according to UCLA. And so Macy's here is running the risk, and NBC, of offending maybe 96% of the people that Macy's wants to come into their stores and shop. Not smart.
As I said, Brian, I didn't see it. Were they not wearing clothes?
No, they were cross-dressing. They were.
Well, how would you know? Well, let me ask you then, because you keep saying that they're transgendered, how would you know if they were wearing clothes?
Well, they were wearing clothes. I mean, I've seen the.
Well, then how do you know they were transgendered? I mean, you wouldn't be able to tell that unless you saw the equipment, if you know what I mean.
Well, here's one communication from a mom watching with her 9-year-old daughter, and she said it took my daughter about 2 seconds to see that, or this is a guy watching with his daughter, to see that it was a guy wearing a dress and these kinky boots, these high boots. And he said to his dad, "Dad, that's a man, and he's kind of creepy." So if a 9-year-old can figure it out, then you and I can figure it out.
Okay. And what's the damage here?
Well, it normalizes sexual deviancy. That's the damage.
Should we be blaming, is this the fault of Macy's, or would you say this is the fault of Shakespeare?
Well, this is the fault of Macy's. I mean, they're the ones that made a choice to put this on the air.
But again, I mean, it's men as you know, Brian, men dressing in drag is nothing new. I mean, even in the early days of television, Milton Berle, and I would say, as conservative groups often do, you like to go back to the 50s, the allegedly innocent times then. But in the advent of television, you realize Milton Berle, best known, the great comedian, best known for dressing in drag. Men dressed in drag for years, during plays, during Shakespearean times, during the vaudeville days, certainly during the advent of television. Men dressing as women is nothing new. Why is it offensive in 2013 but not offensive in 1953?
Well, Scott, trust me, there is no parallel between kinky boots and Milton Berle.
Well, they didn't have what is a kinky boot? So you're saying thigh-high boots?
Yeah, thigh-high boots, red thigh-high
Well, why would
boots,
that be more offensive
heels,
than Milton Berle wearing like a apron and makeup? I mean, obviously they didn't have what you call kinky boots. But so the distinguishing factor between offensive and not offensive is footwear?
Well, Milton Berle was just having fun. This group is out to normalize sexual deviancy.
Wait, whoa. Milton Berle is how would you get in a parade, which is a fun event, how would you take out that these people are trying to indoctrinate 5- and 9-year-olds and Milton Berle wasn't? I don't understand that. Help me understand, Brian.
Well, Scott, have you been living under a rock for the last decade? I mean,
no, that would be your territory.
No, there's been a concerted effort to normalize transvestitism and transgenderism.
And I'm asking you, what is the difference?
Culture.
Brian, what's the difference between the Macy's parade and Milton Berle?
Because Milton Berle was not trying to normalize sexual deviance.
How are
That's
these
the
people
difference,
trying to?
Scott. It's easy to see.
Right, but again, all right. Well, we just keep going around in circles here. Again, it's Brian Fisher with American Family Association, 1 Million Moms, protesting against Cincinnati-based Macy, saying that they cannot be trusted for doing what Milton Berle did 60 years ago on national television. That being said, what is the damage here? So a 9-year-old or a 6-year-old asks mom, in the story you articulated to me, Brian, that was I think you said asking awkward questions. Isn't that the job of a parent, is to explain and put into context? Isn't this? Shouldn't you be applauding this as a teachable moment?
Well, that's the job of parents. It's not the job of Macy's. You're exactly right.
Well, yeah, but I see stuff that offends me and my sensibilities all the time, and therefore I want to impart my morals and my values to my children. It's the job of a parent not to avoid stuff, but I would welcome as a chance to say, hey, listen, we don't believe against this because of the Bible, or we say, hey, you know what? I think that God believes that God will look at me and you as equal. Whatever your values and teachings may be, it's an opportunity for you to articulate that. Should we be hiding kids from that?
No, so that's fine for parents to have that kind of conversation with their kids on their initiative at their time of their choosing. It's wrong for Macy's to shove that in our faces on what's supposed to be a family-friendly event.
Well, it is a family-friendly event. I mean, if they're out there, if you have men dancing as dressed as women that are out there dancing around, much like it's been around since the dawn of entertainment, they're doing it clothed, they're doing it tastefully. I don't understand where the hitting message is here.
It's not a hidden message. That's the problem, Scott. It's right in your face. I mean, these are Kinky boots. These boots are made for walking, and they're
What is the big
all
deal
over
with the
for
boots? I
family
mean,
values.
the go-go boots are back in the 60s. I don't understand what's so offensive about it. Were they saying that did they have equality signs? I mean, what was you're saying there's a hidden message, or what's are the messages in your face? What's so in your face about a bunch of men dancing around?
You don't see that is out front. There's nothing hidden. There's nothing subtle about it.
Okay, what is out front about it? So guys dressing in drag are dancing around in the whole thing. In the message, how do you get transvestitism out of that? How do you get the whole gender bending? How do you get okay, I did the gender bending, but if a kid sees that, don't they think, hey, look at he's being like, for example, Halloween. Plenty of men dress as women, plenty of women dress as men at Halloween. Shouldn't we be protesting that?
Well, what's the first word in the phrase kinky boots?
What is it with you and the footwear? What, is it a foot fetish? I don't understand why the boots are so important to you.
Hey, Scott, I'm not the one that wore the thigh-high red boots with stilettos. That's what the Kinky Boots cast did, and that's what Macy's put on TV.
Okay, I understand. Great. They're high boots, but again, it's daddy being silly. Why can't you go, it's just, they're pretending to be girls. Isn't that silly? Why are you losing sleep over this?
Well, because it's not about guys just dressing up and having fun. This is about promoting sexual abnormality. And, Scott, this is not an
How do you get – you don't get sexual abnormality. I mean, again, you have this whole thing that society's going to hell in a handbasket, and I just gave you countless examples of men who have dressed as women over the years, and clearly – we're not worse off for that. I don't understand. Again, to me, I see something. I want to show me the damages. Like, for example, Brian, you're driving. I hit you in my car. You're paralyzed. There's damage. Where's the damage here?
Well, let me give you the damage here. A recent study from the United Kingdom indicated that 84% of transgenders in the UK suffer from suicidal ideation, and 53% of them have harmed themselves. This is not an innocent laughing matter, Scott. People are hurting themselves. They're committing suicide.
Well, do you think maybe that they're killing themselves because of people like you?
No, there's been a gender recognition law in the UK since 2004. This is a legitimate, recognized, legalized lifestyle in the UK. They're not subject to any kind of legal discrimination in the UK.
And yet, so they're killing themselves. So we should ban the boots because of high suicide rate. I mean, I guess because there may be societal pressures there. I don't understand the whole transvestite thing myself. I got to be honest with you. I think you play the parts that God gave you. But again, in the UK, it's much different than what we have here in the United States, relative to our own personal choices and freedoms. And I want to know how someone's choice. And I get the eyes is you want to shield your kids, but I mean, to me, of all the things that offend me in the world, I don't understand why you would get. So before we keep going around in circles here again, Brian, I appreciate the time and the debate. What is it you want Cincinnati-based Macy's to do?
Well, they ought to make a pledge to American families that they're not going to repeat this kind of behavior. There are just certain kinds of behavior that should not be promoted in our culture and cross cross-dressing transgenderism is one of them.
Do you think that if I go to Macy's, that there should be, I don't know, like, for example, if I'm underage, I get carded, right? You know, you go buy beer, whatever, they check your ID. Should they only Macy's sell the kinky boots to women?
No, this is a matter of American consumers and American families making choices. Macy can do whatever they want. If they want to promote transgenderism and transvestitism, they have the freedom to do that in America. And American families have the freedom to say to Macy's, we're not going to shop at your store anymore.
Does it bother you that the face of because you're the American Family Association, the face of the traditional family, I mean, it always has been, but that is changing rapidly in the last 20 years? Does that threaten you?
No, it doesn't threaten us, but it concerns us from transgenders. If you've got 84% of transgenders, Scott, that are thinking about killing themselves, that's not good. We care for these people. We don't want people thinking about killing themselves. We don't want people harming themselves. And this is
well, what is the cause? What is the main cause? You know, you brought that up too, the 84%. What is the main cause of the 84% suicide rate among transvestites in the UK, which is a pretty small sample?
Well, it's not rocket science, Scott. These people are sexually confused. They have no idea who they are. They have no clear understanding of their sexuality, and that internal tension, confusion, leads them in some very harmful directions. This is not a lifestyle that ought to be promoted or celebrated, and Macy's ought to be.
Do you have any numbers on American transgenders?
Well, I just looked at the study. I'll tell you one thing. I don't know the exact.
Seems like a really. I mean, the whole thing. It seems you're talking about a fraction of 1% of the population.
Well, I care about that fraction of the 1%. I'm kind of ashamed of you for not caring for them.
I care for everybody, but also as an American, first and foremost, I believe in freedom of expression and choice. That is paramount to being an American. Why are you against that?
Well, I'm not.
Yeah, you are.
Americans have the freedom.
If somebody wants to be a trans, you seem to be all worked up like it's threatening the American family, and it's not. It's to each his own. As long as you're not impinging on my freedoms, I don't care what the hell you do.
Well, that's fine, but this threatens transgenders. That's my concern.
Well, it threatens your value system is what it threatens.
No. These people are killing themselves, Scott, and you don't seem to care about that.
So I guess by protesting Macy's and banning men from dancing and drag like they have for centuries, you're saving lives. Brian, you're a great humanitarian. Thank you for joining us. 1 Million Moms, American Family Association. I appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks.
You too, Scott.
Normally, I would make some snide comment here, but I'll just go to break here. 513-749-7800, the big one, and pound 700 AT&T. The hypocrisy meter is broken. I have to have that fixed here. Can we get that fixed? Okay, let me break. We'll fix the hypocrisy meter. 700 WLW. Sloan, thanks for checking out the show. The question I get is things like this. Well, let me read the email here. Sloan at 700WLW.com from Charlie. Explaining to me the difference between Milton Berle, or I guess maybe Jonathan Winters, or anyone who is dressed in drag. It's pretty commonplace theatrically, right? Is the difference between Milton Berle and Macy's is that Milton Berle is a comedian not trying to push the lesbian gay lifestyle down everyone's throats and in people's faces. It's a Christmas holiday parade, not a gay day parade. Trust me, Scott, a lot of us find that lifestyle extremely offensive and a very sick thing. The more I listen to you, Scott, the more left-leaning you become. I used to enjoy WLW program, but, man, sometimes I wonder what your angles and things are. I'll make it very clear, if you're part of the group that find this very thick and offensive to you, I'll make it very clear what my angle on things are, and it's this. Unless it harms me and my family, I really don't give a damn what you do with your life. Above all else, that's what the angle is. I don't get it either. I don't, the transgender thing, I don't understand the surgery. I don't get all that stuff. But guess what? That's not my choice. And the notion that somehow this is going to destroy my quality of life is insane, because then we can turn around and go, well, I'd be against gay marriage, for example, if straight marriage works so damn well. The tired argument about how this is destroying the American family from people like my guest, Brian Fisher, from the American Family Association is absurd. Seems to me the biggest cause of destroying families would be heterosexual divorce. And yet these people don't want to talk about that. My angle on it is it's your life. Do with it what you choose. That's the point of being an American, is it not? First and foremost, we do have that freedom. Pushing stuff down your throat. Well, I guess I'm a Christian, and I have a problem with other Christians, as we'll get into coming up after news here with the story about the teacher at CHCA and the pictures that are spread online. and what the debate there is at an allegedly Christian institution. And the problem I have with, and not all, I think the bulk of our people who believe in God and that Jesus died for our sins and all that, I think the problem that we have a lot of people are people that maybe the ones that how do I want to word this? That are maybe a little bit more extreme in their views. In that, as I pointed out, the contradiction with divorce. The idea that you're getting this shoved down your throat. Well, as a matter of fact, we know that there are people who are not Christian that are among us, and as an American, that's okay. Our soldiers are fighting for your right and my right to believe in God and the Bible and all and our freedoms, but at the same time, they're fighting and dying for people whose views are contrary to that. And we're always going to be, I guess, in disagreement on that thing. But the commonalities here were Americans first. In that you have this, they're cramming it down our throats. So I just read a story that there's a bill in Ohio right now, sponsored by a whole bunch of lawmakers, that would protect the freedoms of people who believe in God, like from wearing religious symbols at work or displays on their car, which I find absurd. There's some government employees that have been terminated or told not to wear things like jewelry with cross on it because it may be offensive. I think it's a bunch of crap. It's your neck. And how is me wearing a cross around my neck affect you? It doesn't. It does not. Same with money, the money. It's in God we trust. How does that, if you don't believe in God, you're an atheist, how does that hurt your life? It doesn't. Move on, people. Move on. But it's just the hypocrisy on both sides is absolutely amazing. So there you go. That's my angle on this whole thing. I don't care. And if your kid goes to you, why are those guys dressed in kinky boots? I would say because they're being silly. Can't you make stuff up? I mean, how hard is that? It's a 5-year-old. You can't come up with something, oh my God, he asked me why men are dressed as women. Because they're being silly. Hey, what do you want for Christmas? You want some ice cream? Deflect. Be like a politician, wouldn't you? Crying out loud. I was told, too, by Scott Stanley, our resident homosexual, that this is that the Kinky Boots is I guess it won a Tony or something like that, and Cyndi Lauper was, I don't know. I didn't even know it was a play. The whole musical thing. I can't get into it. I'm sorry. I've tried. It's just, I don't get it. We're having a fight, and all of a sudden we're going to break out in song. I can suspend my disbelief, but only so much, people. The whole musical thing and the Broadway and that, I've tried. Call me a Neanderthal. I've tried. I just don't get it. So this is about a Broadway play. But still, at the end of the day, a bunch of guys dancing around in boots. Who cares? How is that harming your kid? Please explain. Please help me understand. That's all I'm asking. Love to hear your perspective. We'll get into that, and plus how this layers into that teacher who has some nude selfies going around, and she's a teacher at CHCA at the Christian Hills Academy, and now her job is on the line. We'll talk a little bit about that hypocrisy coming up after news in about 5 minutes, right after Combsy, getting you ready for White Death. Just ahead, 700 WLW. Sloan on the big one, 700 WLW, of course, keeping an eye out for anything weather-related. No joke, man. 4 to 6 inches. That's what they're saying. So, that means 1 to 2. It is not going to wreck Reds Fest, though. It is on. It is on starting tomorrow at Duke Energy Convention Center. Details on that coming up on the show. In the meantime, talking about Macy's, from Cincinnati-based Macy's, being under attack because for, 30, 45 seconds on the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade, there was a group of men dancing around dressed in, what do they call it? Kinky boots, because that's, I guess, the name of the play on Broadway. And somehow this is a threat to the American family, which I don't see it, and certainly I don't get why Macy's would be under attack and somehow undermining your family values, to which point, there's all sorts of things I have to explain to my kids when they were growing up all the time about things I disagreed with. But again, it's one of those deals where you just reinforce your values, don't you? You go, well, I guess if you're that diehard a Christian, you could go, those people are all going to hell. You don't want to be like that, do you? I mean, I guess if I were going to explain to my kids that way, I would just blow it off and say, they're being silly. How hard is that? The notion that it takes a village. It's funny, a lot of people who think it takes a village, same ones that say that, we should do a better job making sure kids don't see this kind of stuff. It seems counterintuitive to me. Anyway, at 513-749-7800, the big one, and pound 700 AT&T. Brad on the cell, you're on the Scott Sloan Show. What's up?
Hey, Scott. I was actually at the parade this year with my 7-year-old daughter.
Oh.
Those guys walked by, and we didn't even know what it was about to begin with. But she looked at them, and she thought it was so funny. No explanation needed.
No explanation. It's like, they're being silly, Daddy. Yeah, honey, they're being silly.
That's exactly what she said. And, they moved on, and then here comes one of the Disney guys, and nothing else was said about it. I think everybody's up in arms over nothing.
Yeah, you know what? The other thing too is it's funny. I was in New Orleans on vacation last month, and there they had, I don't know what it was, like a spontaneous parade that broke, and they had like the really huge floats too. You know what I mean? And there were all sorts of like cross-dressing people there in New Orleans, and I saw kids along the parade route. The parents there didn't seem too concerned.
No, and it wasn't until later that we even figured out what the float was all about.
So you're with me, man. I'm looking at like people coming to studio. You don't know what Kinky Boots is? Cyndi Lauper is. I'm like, I have no idea. I don't get that kind of stuff. I'm not into it.
No, we walked over to Times Square after we had some lunch, and up on one of the billboards, they had the ad for the play. And it wasn't until then that we actually put two and two together and figured out what the heck.
Yeah, I guess if you don't want to see that message and have it, quote unquote, jammed in your face, then don't go to the play. But I don't think a 30-second parade, a float or a bunch of guys dancing is somehow that in your face. You know what I mean? Did you think it was like over the top, homosexual, or what?
No, not at all. We were right up against the rail, and they came by and threw confetti on us, and we laughed.
Are you sure? Because that could be gay confetti. It may poison your kid like radioactive fallout. You got to be careful.
Right. Well, we went home and took showers. So
Right. We went home immediately and got an easy bake oven out and tossed the football around. All right. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. That's gay confetti. You can't. They catch something. I could see. Here's the thing. And speaking of parades, because it fits together. The one I don't get is like San Francisco, a whole different culture there. I get it, right? But you have guys dancing around various states of undress with, dildos and stuff. The chaps or the rear ends cut. What is that doing for you exactly? If you're a well-adjusted person, regardless of your sexual orientation, even if you're gay or straight, you're probably offended by that. I would think, right? It's like, well, that's not really advancing the cause. Because it just gives more ammunition to the flamethrowers on the other side. You know what I mean? You can keep this whole flame war going between the extremes on both sides. And most of us are like, whether you're gay or straight, like, yeah, it's not really helping here. The flame war between the two. Speaking of things that should cause pause, I got to ask you this. Is this woman the victim or is she at fault? Now, yesterday when the story broke about this teacher at CHCA, Cincinnati Hills Christian Academy, and this teacher, married, has a child. I'm guessing she looks maybe early 30s. I don't know. And from all measures, everyone loves her. She's a great teacher, nice person, everything you would want in a teacher. Well, she had some selfies on her phone of her nude. She's taking a selfie in the the bathroom. The typical place where you take a selfie was taking the shot of you in the mirror, and she's naked, and she can pull the look off. Trust me, see the pictures. But as the story goes, the phone that she had, I'm looking at the police report, and it said the phone is a Sprint phone that's inactive. So I'm guessing it's an inactive phone. There's no number associated with it. So maybe she switched phones or carriers or whatever, and the phone, I don't know where the phone was, but she reported it as stolen. And the latest on this story, this odd story, is that somehow somebody got the camera, took the pictures, posted them online to some of these websites that people, out there, Exxon, basically. These are revenge porn websites, as they're known as, and her pictures are online. Well, the school has since suspended her with pay. And now the debate among parents at CHCA is that the teacher is naked and has taken naked pictures of herself that somehow got out. Therefore, she's unqualified to teach my kid. Said one parent, this being a Christian school, parents are upset teachers even taking naked pictures and sending them to people. And the students are old enough to get online and Google their teacher's name, and the photos come up. Now, certainly there's much like, unlike the guys dancing around in Times Square, you could say, hey, that's a problem. My kid goes to the school, they'll Google this thing, see the teacher naked. That's a big distraction. That's a problem. But is she really the victim here, or is she at fault? Because there's many people blaming her for taking the pictures in the first place. Which, again, the lesson here is this: don't do it. Or if you're going to take a selfie, at least edit your face off. You know what I mean? Just take the body and leave the top part out. You can see your junk, but don't associate it nose, eyes, and teeth with it. And she failed to do that, and well, there's a lesson there. But is it worth firing this woman over this whole thing? Or, because the parents, not all of them, I don't know. My kids don't go there. I don't know many people that do. But from kind of just put my finger in the air, it seems to me the indication there's a number of parents out there, maybe a growing faction of parents, who want the teacher out of there because she's taking naked pictures of herself. Well, she didn't really send them out. I mean, I could see if she took them, posted them online or something, that'd be a problem, especially at a Christian school. But if someone steals what you have and provide, I guess the point is this. You deserve some sense of privacy in your private life. And if someone illegally takes those things and exposes you for this, should it really cost you your employment, even if you teach at a Christian school? 513-749-7000, 800 the big one, pound 700 AT&T. I say it's none of your damn business. I mean, to me, she's the victim. Many people think she's the one at fault for taking the pictures. I don't know who there's the allegation she was sharing it with someone other than her husband. I mean, who knows at this point what the truth is? But a lot of couples, Christian or otherwise, have marital problems and relationships break up. Back to my initial point, right, about gay marriage, people against gay marriage. We ought to look in the mirror. Because there's way more heterosexual couples and relationships ain't working out. They wind up getting, that's the threat to a family. We're worried about gay folk. 513-749-7000, 800 the big one, pound 700 AT&T. Lines are lit. We'll work you in. Also ahead, we'll check your traffic and weather as things start to turn bad starting today and then later tonight. It's going to be a mess at the very least tomorrow here, and we'll keep you updated all the time. It is White Death Central here at 700 WLW. Just careful there, Cincinnati Pops. Don't be wearing the Kinky boots. You get in trouble. Sloan, 700 WLW. Just a reminder, Reds Fest is on. Rain, sleet, snow. I'm going to be down there tomorrow. I'll tell you what, the weather ain't going to scare me away. I'm going to be down there tomorrow between 5:30, about that time. I'll stay out there for a couple hours, be hanging out with you. Hopefully stop by. I know Lance is doing the show live. Seggy Boy will be down there. I'll be entertaining him. And brave it out. What the heck, man? Tomorrow will be a great day to go, considering the weather's going to scare some folks away, I'm sure. 381 Reds for tickets. Stop by Kroger with Ticketmaster retail outlets. You can get your tickets there. Of course, they're available at Reds Fest starting 9 a.m. tomorrow, Saturday, 7 a.m. 2-day tickets, $25, $12 for kids. 1-day pass, $17 for adults, $7 for kids. 3 and under, you get in for free. If you've never been before, it's spectacular. They really do a great job. 70 current former Reds players, broadcasters, coaches, anyone associated with the Reds is down there. And they'll have the autograph sessions. You get people bringing their bats in. I love the guys they've got like luggage with 30 bats in there. It's crazy. And everyone's cool. They're going to unveil the camouflage and St. Pat's jerseys. Fun for the kids' family. Make it down. Make it a point. Hope to see you out there. I'm out there tomorrow at about 5:30, okay? At 513-749-7000, 800 the big one, and pound 700 AT&T. I think to crystallize this thing, before I get to your calls here, between Brian Fisher from the American Family Association, angered and saying that Macy's, Cincinnati-based Macy's, can't be trusted for having men dressed in drag dancing in the Thanksgiving Day parade, to the story of this teacher whose personal and private information was compromised, and the naked images, the selfies of her that someone stole, were posted online, and it's jeopardizing her job at CHCA. And, both these cases, I think the parents, maybe in both these cases, and again, I don't think all parents, but I think there's a growing and loud contingent of people at CHCA and others who think this is abnormal, this is bad behavior. It was a bad move, an example to show why you don't take nude selfies, is that, it strikes me as this. Here's the problem with, I would call these the all or nothing Christians. So as a Christian, believe in Jesus and that he died for our sins. I'm sure you did as well. And if you don't, it doesn't bother me. But it's the all or nothing factor here. I think, like in social settings, for example, both these cases, that the rest of the world has to live up to your standards of behavior. It, to me, is completely narcissistic. In that I wonder if, for some of these people, if they're attracted to religion because they're narcissists, or that extreme makes you a narcissist. I'm not quite sure. Because the idea between the narcissism is, it's about you. I have people in my family that will still to this day quiz my wife. Did you go to church? Were you at church? Did you go to church? You got to go to church. Were you not at church? Oh, my God, you didn't go to church. Oh, my God, what are you trying to kill me? It's not about you. It's about my relationship with God. It doesn't affect you. It's not a reflection on you. I've heard from people, people that I know whose parents are like that. And, it's always about, they always turn around and make, oh, you're trying to kill me. It's because you hate me. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's not about you. It's about me. That's the thing. And I wonder how much, there's that layer. I'm talking the people that are over the top, that, let's face it, aren't listening to the show anyway. It's not about you. And so the people like that strike me as the narcissists, like the guy I talked to. Well, my kid saw it. Well, you're destroying my kid. It's about me. No, it's not. Not really. At 513-749-7800, the big one, pound 700 ATT. Hey, Keith in Fairfield, you're on the show. Thanks for checking in. What do you got?
Well, I'm going to speak to you, Christian the Christian, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Now, what kind of Christian are you? Are you the pushy Christian or the one that's like, whatever?
I'm the one that's forgiven by grace, not by works.
Okay, so you're pushy. Go ahead.
Oh, I see. That's pushy. Well, here's the deal. You might take pictures of yourself nude.
Right.
But is it smart to put it on any kind of electronic device at all?
Well, no, I just pointed that out. I mean, there's a lesson there. Don't,
right.
If you take a selfie of yourself, take a naked picture of yourself, at least cut the head off.
Yeah, and the other thing about it is that we don't know the entire story.
We do not.
But the story yesterday was that a ex-boyfriend got angry and posted him, which means if she's married and has a kid, she was sending nude photos of herself to somebody else besides her husband.
That's a problem.
That's a problem, especially in a Christian organization. It may
but
not
is that a problem? Let me ask you, though. Is it a problem between the couple, or is it a problem that the rest of the school population, including the parents, would lose sleep over?
Well, I'll encapsulate it this way. Mm-hmm. All right. There was a man that was having sex with his own mother during the time that Paul was an apostle. And Paul's answer to the church was, even the rest of the world knows this. The surrounding non-church knows this. Why is this man and his mother still in the congregation? And the argument was that until they forsake this behavior, they didn't want him in the organization anymore. We're sorry. You're out of the church because you are destroying the reputation of the church and what we stand for.
So it's the narcissistic thing.
Well, I'm sorry, but that came from the Apostle Paul.
But I'm just saying, even though the relationship, and clearly if that's the case, and we don't know if that's true, there's a problem between the couple. But that impacts you how?
Well, but I'm sorry. When you put out pictures of yourself like that...
She didn't put it out. Someone stole it and posted it.
Well, now, wait a minute. We just said we don't know the whole story. Somebody said that the pictures were stolen.
Well, you just brought up the boyfriend.
Well, but again, we don't know the facts.
We don't know the whole story unless it's the whole story that you want to put out there.
Well, I had a niece that was fired from her job because all she did was mention on her own Facebook page, not on company resources, she named the company she worked for and that her desire for her and her husband was to go and become missionaries. They fired her.
That's wrong.
Well, I'm sorry, but I don't see anybody making a big protest out of that. And the argument
Well, it's because I don't think it's a big news story. No one heard. When it's in the news, I'll talk about it. How am I supposed to know what your sister did?
But I'm just saying that I find an interesting double standard here. And all I'm saying is...
Well, what's a double standard?
Okay, why cannot a Christian organization say that these are our rules and these are our standards, and everybody says, oh, no, that's wrong? They want to jump into their business and tell them what they're allowed to do. But if a Christian organization wanted to, say, have a Macy's Day Parade where they had the nativity scene that doesn't include a Santa Claus or an elf, that somehow is wrong and warping other people's minds.
I don't know. Was there any Christian representation in the parade? I don't know. Like I said, I did not see the Macy's Parade.
Well, I think it's pretty clear that over the years we've gotten to the point that you can't even have a public nativity scene unless it has secular items in it, because they argue that that's a violation of separation of church and state. And so I'm just saying that it's a mandate.
But again, it's a public right. But it's put on by Macy's. They pay for the whole thing, so it's up to them what's in. I don't understand. You're talking about what, the Ten Commandments at a government square?
Well, I'm talking about anything like that. If it's a religious display, it has to be watered down because it's offensive to a rest of society.
No, it does not have to be watered down as long as it's done privately. Again. We have celebrations like that all the time. I mean, again, it's for both sides here. Do I have to be the adult? Look, if it doesn't harm you directly, it's none of your damn business. I feel badly for the teacher here. Her picture's been circulated, her name's been circulated through the media, and people are, every time you see them, I think that's the woman who was naked. She's got to live with that the rest of her life. It was a horrible mistake, but it doesn't seem very Christian to me to punish her and totally destroy her career for something that... let's face it, I think she's a victim. She didn't have control over that. She took the pictures, and if there's a relationship with a boyfriend or, I don't know, you'd have to go back through, I guess, the annals of CHCA history. and see if, okay, then, if we find out that a male teacher is having an affair or cheated on his wife, should they be fired too? I mean, how far do you go into someone's personal life and past and thinking it has an impact on what it is you do in the here and now? I think the most difficult part is going to be how she reconciles this with her students. Because let's face it, it's K through 12. Guarantee you most of the kids who have access have already looked at those images online just to see because, God or no God, it's young boys are fascinated by boobies, especially the ones that belong to relatively attractive teachers. That's going to be a problem when she gets back in the classroom. And how do you work through that? We have news in about 5 minutes at 10:06 on the show. Sean Marshall will join us, I guarantee, at 10:06 to talk Reds Fest, but also the shakeups and his thoughts on Ryan Hannigan, no longer a Cincinnati Red. That's all ahead here on 700 WL.